You're 5 days old in 7th century Sparta, laying in the rocky ravine of the apothete, the place where unwanted children are left for nature to decide. You are born weak and have an audible wheeze that sealed your fate when the special council of old men, the Gerousia, inspected you. It's cold, foggy, and the wind is hissing just as loud as the sound of your tiny lungs. You are supposed to die today, but that's the first mistake. You don't. A helot farmer, one of the people Sparta owns, is working in the valley. He hears you before he sees you. Thin, weak, still breathing. He looks around, not for help, for witnesses. Then he takes you. Out of calculation, because if the gods wanted you dead, they'd have finished it themselves. And if you live, you might be useful. So you grow up hidden, a shape that isn't supposed to exist. The farmer feeds you goat's milk and teaches you the only lesson that matters. Stay quiet. Stay invisible. There's a problem, though. That wheeze, the weak, rattling breath that condemned you, never goes away. It follows you everywhere. A reminder that survival is temporary and being noticed could be fatal. Months turn into years. You grow, but wrong. Wiry where Spartans are thick. Fragile where they're solid. Every breath borrowed. By the time you're old enough to understand what the farmer did, you also understand what it will cost him if anyone finds out. Then comes your 7th birthday. Congrats for staying alive this long. The age when every proper Spartan boy is ripped from his parents and thrown into the agoge, the state's decade-long boot camp designed to grind children into weapons. An official comes to the farm for a head count. He doesn't need papers, he doesn't ask questions, he just looks at you. A scrawny, silent boy standing beside a man who clearly isn't his father. That's enough. He doesn't call you out. He steps closer instead, breath heavy with the smell of stale wine and meat.
The agoge begins next month,
He says.
You will attend.
Then, softer.
When you fail, the man who hid you disappears.
He straightens up, already bored.
You won't go back to the apothete. You won't be worth the walk.
And just like that, your lie has become a deadline. Awesome! The first day of the agoge makes it obvious. The other boys move like they were built for this. Compact, solid, 7 years old and already shaped like tiny little soldiers. You're all angles and sharp edges. The first lesson is hunger. Black broth, thin, greasy water pretending to be food. The others adapt. Their bodies adjust. Yours doesn't. The same rations that harden them slowly begins to hollow you out. Your life becomes a performance. In wrestling, you learn how to lose convincingly, not by being weak, but by making it look accidental. You slip, you misstep, you get caught wrong, all to try to slip through the cracks. When you run, you lag behind just enough to survive. Your lungs burn like hot coals, but you don't make a sound. You learn to hide it. The others don't notice you. They don't need to. They're already mini monsters in training. Confident, unbreakable. You're a ghost. And maybe that's the only reason you're still alive. Then comes a run that doesn't care how careful you've been. The pace is relentless. The ground is hard. The air is thin and dry. Your lungs seize. Every inhale tastes like ash. But you don't stop. You can't afford to. You cross the line still standing, still silent, and barely breathing. Years pass, and you have learned to take a beating. The agoge isn't a school. It's a system designed to break boys down and rebuild them in the state's image. You get punished without reacting. Any sound, any flinch marks you. Slaps, kicks, casual cruelty from older boys. You absorb it all. Your body becomes a map of bruises you never acknowledge. Hunger settles in and never leaves. Not the kind that comes and goes. Permanent hunger. You steal figs, cheese, anything left unattended. For getting caught earns lashes. Not stealing earns death. You choose the lash. Winter is terrible. Cold air feels like swallowing broken glass. Every breath is work. You hide the wheeze behind coughs. You learn to sip air through your nose even when your body begs for more. Weakness stays hidden. You watch the real young Spartans move. They don't just have strength, they have efficiency. Every step deliberate, every motion clean. They carry their shields like extensions of their bodies. You stagger under yours. You don't build muscle, barely build tolerance. And don't get me started on the bathhouses. Everyone strips down, living marble statues everywhere, abs cut like stone, bodies that of Greek gods. A constant reminder of these superior beings. You don't want to look, but you end up always looking. You realize that you will never measure up to the competition. You get dressed fast. By 12, boys start getting noticed. Chosen, not officially, but clearly. Other Spartans begin circling the training grounds, watching, weighing. Most pass without slowing, except one. He stops in front of you, long enough for the others to notice, long enough for it to mean something. He's older, scarred, already approved by Sparta. He looks at you with a lingering eye and slight smile. He leans close.
I'm going to make a man out of you,
he says. And from then on, he's there. During drills, his corrections come first. 2 fingers grazing your elbow, a hand pushing your lower back. At meals, your bowl is set beside his, close. You notice how it works for the rest of them. Both men and boys moving in pairs, walking together, training together, doing everything together. You watch them copy each other's steps, match each other's pace, breathe the same way. You try to do the same, to earn that approval, but it never comes. Everyone else grows closer. You don't. Then, one day, he walks past you without stopping. Later, you hear him say it to another boy, almost proudly. Strong arms. Being corrected meant you were worth shaping. Being ignored meant you weren't. And just like that, you're alone again. By 20, you already understand how selection works in Sparta. The loud ones get praised, the strong ones get noticed, the cruel ones get remembered. You've survived by doing the opposite. So when your name is called for the krypteia, Sparta's big test of loyalty, you don't feel chosen. You feel exposed. The krypteia is a test that sends you out alone, armed and unobserved, with sanctioned permission to kill a helot, state-owned slave. It tells Sparta you can be trusted without witnesses, and to everyone else, they are never safe. You arrive to receive your assignment, and your heart stops. The same official that showed up at the farm when you were 7 stands across from you. He doesn't smile. He doesn't gesture. He just names the valley, a stretch of farmland you recognize immediately. You head out into the frozen hills on a mission where you cannot hide anymore. It's cold, foggy, and windy, just like the day you were abandoned. Your body screams in protest to the elements, lungs on fire, that betraying wheeze whistling like a death rattle in the silent night. Days blur into cold and hunger while you wait. Then you see him, your foster father, the man who raised you, gathering wood. He looks older now, more frail, more vulnerable. You haven't seen him since you had to leave. You raise your spear, body aching from years of torment. The pressure on your shoulders to prove to everyone you are not weak. And you hesitate. You stand there, unable to do the one job that would hide your lie forever. But it's too late. He hears the wheeze, the sound of the weak infant he saved. His eyes lock on yours, wide with a flash of terror. Then the gut punch of recognition. Is it really you? Run, you say. The farmer turns and runs, but the wrong way. You chase after him, begging him to stop going that direction, but your lungs give out only a low rasp, and he disappears over the ridge straight towards the next valley. Suddenly, a spear flies from the trees, piercing through his back. He lets out a moan and drops, blood bursting out in a red arc, scattering across the snow. Another young Spartan emerges, a smile on his face. By the time you catch up, the job is done, and the other pulls his spear from his back, spits on him, and you just watch him walk away. And that's when it settles in. It wasn't your body that failed you, nor your lungs, or the cold. It is the moment you stayed still. You weren't too weak to fight. You were just too afraid to stand up to the system that made you. Sparta didn't take your courage. You handed it over, piece by piece. Every time you chose survival over resistance. The man who saved you died running, while you lived kneeling. As you watch his blood spread through the snow like a slow red river, you now understand what Sparta actually trained you to be. Not a warrior, not a Spartan, but just a coward who learned how to endure. at the cost of everything.